Would you pay for a timer when your phone already has one? It sounds ridiculous, right? But StageTimer is basically a countdown timer for presentations and events. It was making $8,300 per month, about $100,000 per year. Later, after the founder was interviewed again, that number grew to $25,000 per month. Today, we're looking at 3 shockingly simple apps. StageTimer, a timer for events and presenters, PDFShift, an API that converts HTML to PDFs, and Session, a focus app competing with free Pomodoro timers while still making around $8,300 per month, with a case study showing 95% profit margins. These are small, focused tools solving one specific problem and making real money. I want to break down why they work, how they found users, what makes them defensible, what could kill them, and how you can find ideas like this yourself. Most people overcomplicate online business. They think they need a revolutionary idea, a full team, investors, a huge audience, or some crazy AI breakthrough. But many profitable software businesses are simpler. One job, one customer, one problem solved well. That's the game. So what counts as a simple app? Simple does not mean lazy or low quality. Simple means focused. A simple app does one core job, serves one main user type, and keeps the feature count low. StageTimer keeps event teams on schedule. PDFShift converts HTML into PDFs. Session helps people focus. StageTimer is for event organizers, presenters, video producers, and production teams. PDFShift is for developers and companies needing automated documents. And Session is for people who want a polished focus system. Technically, a simple app could often be built as an MVP in 2 to 4 weeks with 2 or 3 core screens and one key integration: payments, an API, browser extension, a desktop app wrapper, or a simple database. This is what makes these ideas powerful. They're small enough to build, test, and improve without a huge team. So let's take a deeper look into example number 1, StageTimer. So StageTimer literally sounds ridiculous because your phone already has a timer, but this is not for boiling pasta. It's a remote controlled countdown timer for presentations, live events, webinars, conferences, and production teams. A presenter sees a full screen timer. A producer controls it remotely. If one speaker goes 10 minutes over at a conference with sponsors, breaks, camera crews, live streams, and hundreds or thousands watching, the whole schedule can fall apart. So the problem is not I need a timer. The problem is I need to keep a professional event running on schedule without distracting the speaker or creating chaos backstage. So who pays for these? Event organizers, audio video teams, video producers, companies, conference teams, and presenters. The expensive problem is event coordination. Broken timing affects the schedule, audience experience, live stream, production team, and overall quality. Simple beats complex because event teams do not want a bloated platform during a live production. They want something reliable, obvious, and easy to control. The first users came from niche communities, especially Reddit. The company mentions a commercial AV subreddit, which matters because it wasn't a huge subreddit. It was just highly relevant. That's the lesson. You don't need to go viral. You need to get in front of the right people. The compounding channel is likely word of mouth, niche SEO, and recommendations inside the event world. Now, what could kill it? A bigger event, webinar, live stream, or presentation platform could build the same feature. StageTimer has to defend itself through reliability, brand, integrations, support, and trust. The moat can't just be we have a timer. It has to become we are the timer trusted by production teams. Example number 2, PDFShift. PDFShift is even more boring. An API that converts HTML into PDFs. According to a case study, it makes around $8,500 per month. Now, when the founder was first interviewed, it was doing around $3,500 per month. So it's grown. So for a normal person, creating a PDF is easy. Open a web page, hit print, and save as a PDF. But businesses need invoices, receipts, reports, shipping documents, certificates, contracts, statements, and account summaries generated thousands of times per month. A human's not going to save every file manually. So developers send HTML to PDFShift, and PDFShift turns it into a PDF. Now who pays? Developers, SaaS companies, e-commerce business, internal operations teams, and anyone who needs automated PDFs at scale. The expensive problem is manual document creation. Employees waste time, developers waste resources building PDF systems from scratch. Broken output can generate ugly invoices, bad reports, or customer issues. So the real problem is, how do we generate documents reliably at scale without building and maintaining the whole system ourselves? Simple beats complex because developers want an API that works, clear docs, simple pricing, fast conversion, and reliable output. The first users came through Quora. The founder answered questions about HTML to PDF conversion in Python, Laravel, and other developer workflows. That works because people searching those questions already have the problem. The compounding channel is search. Google, Quora, developer forums, technical tutorials, documentation, and comparison pages. Now, what could kill it? Big cloud platforms could offer a built-in version. Open source tools could get easier. Competitors could undercut pricing. The category could become commoditized. So PDFShift had to defend itself through reliability, documentation, speed, uptime, support, integrations, and trust. For developer tools, boring can be beautiful. If companies rely on your API, switching becomes annoying and risky. Example number 3, Session. Session is a focus app. According to a case study, it makes around $8,300 per month, about $100,000 per year. The case study also mentions 95% profit. Session helps people focus using timed work sessions, similar to a Pomodoro timer. It also includes distraction blocking, focus tracking, and habit building features. This is interesting because it has tons of free competition. Free Pomodoro timers, focus websites, phone timers, browser extensions, productivity apps, and website blockers. So why would anyone pay? Because people do not only pay for functionality. They pay for experience, design, convenience, and a tool that fits naturally into their workflow. Session wins because it gives a specific user a better focus experience. Who pays? Knowledge workers, creators, students, freelancers, remote workers, entrepreneurs, and productivity-focused professionals. The expensive problem is distraction. Someone loses 2 hours a day to procrastination, social media, or context switching. That means fewer completed projects, worse study sessions, and slower progress. Session is not really selling a timer. It's selling a better work rhythm. Simple beats complex because productivity tools can become distractions themselves. Too many dashboards, charts, settings, and workflows defeat the purpose. Now, we're not exactly sure how Session got its first 100 users, but likely early channels included Product Hunt, Reddit, productivity communities, and Twitter or X, and indie maker communities, app store search, and direct outreach to people interested in focus systems. The compounding channels are app store optimization, SEO, reviews, and word of mouth. Now, what could kill it? Free competition from Apple, Google browsers, or productivity platforms. Another risk is churn. Session has to defend itself through design, habit formation, cross-device convenience, brand, and emotional attachment. The pattern. So these apps look different, but they follow the same structure. One specific problem, one specific user, focused product, and simple distribution. They do not need massive scale. They need the problem to matter enough to the right people. A timer for everyone is hard to monetize. A timer for event teams is valuable. A PDF converter for casual users is not exciting. An API for companies generating thousands of documents is valuable. A Pomodoro timer for everyone is crowded. A polished, focused system for serious productivity users can still win. The lesson is not just build something simple, it's build something simple for a specific person with a specific pain. How to find ideas like this. So you can do some research for yourself. Start where people complain, like Reddit, Quora, indie hackers, Product Hunt comments, App Store reviews, Chrome web store reviews, YouTube comments, and niche forums. Search phrases like, is there a tool that? Why is this so hard? How do I automate this? What's the easiest way to? I wish there was a simpler version of. Now, one complaint is interesting. Repeated complaints are a signal. Next, search app stores like Apple App Store, Google Play, Chrome Web Store, Shopify App Store, and other marketplaces. Find reviews that say too complicated, too expensive, or missing one key feature. Bad support, or used to be good, but now it's bloated. Those reviews are idea gold. You're not looking to copy, you're looking for an underserved segment. Product Hunt is also useful. You read comments, study what people praise, and notice what they ask for. Older products that stopped updating can reveal opportunities. Reddit and Quora are especially good for pain-based research. Now for B2B ideas, search Tool for, Software for, Automate, or Best App for, and Alternative to. For developer tools, look for repeated technical problems. Finally, look for almost good enough tools. Products that people use but don't love because they're clunky, ugly, expensive, too broad, or missing one key workflow. That's where a focused app can win. Paid versus organic. So should simple apps run ads? Eventually, maybe, but usually not too early. Early on, organic channels are better because you probably did not know your conversion rate, churn, lifetime value, or best customer segment just yet. If you spend on ads before the product is ready, you can burn money fast. So start with communities, SEO, direct outreach, again, Reddit, Quora, and Product Hunt, App Store search, partnerships, and content. Once you know people convert and stay, ads make more sense. Paid acquisition works best when you know who the customer is, what they're worth, and which landing page converts. Organic teaches you what works. Paid scales what already works. Marketing playbook. So for a B2B tool like StageTimer, month 1 is a tiny MVP, landing page, user conversations, and 10 people who understand the pain. Month 2 is manual outreach through communities, answers, trials, and feedback. Month 3 is SEO pages around use cases like countdown timer for speakers or a remote timer for live events. For a developer tool like PDFShift, month 1 is product plus documentation. Month 2 is answering relevant questions on Quora, Reddit, GitHub, and developer forums. Month 3 is tutorials, comparisons, and use case pages. For developer tools, docs are marketing. For a consumer app like Session, month 1 is the core loop. Start session, block distractions, work, finish, see progress, repeat. Month 2 is launching on Product Hunt, Reddit, Twitter or X, app stores, newsletters, and creator communities. Month 3 is retention and reviews. Downloads are not the business. Retention is. Defensibility. So simple apps are easy to understand, so people may copy them. That's why you need a moat. StageTimer can own a niche, the timer for event teams. PDFShift can build trust through uptime, docs, support, and reliability. Session can create habit and brand loyalty. Now, other moats include search rankings, integrations, customer support, reviews, and constant improvement. A simple app should stay simple but not stagnant. Improve the core job, don't just add random features. Now, what could go wrong? These businesses are exciting, but they're not risk-free. A platform could copy you. One traffic source could dry up. The product could be too generic. Users might not retain. Or the problem may not be painful enough to pay for. That's why you want problems tied to money, time, productivity, business operations, or strong personal motivation. Those are the areas where people pay. So you don't need a massive idea, a huge team, or venture capital. Sometimes the better opportunity is smaller and sharper. Countdown timer for events, an API that turns HTML into PDFs, or a focus app that helps people actually sit down and work. These are simple ideas, but they're not random. They work because they solve real problems for specific people. Simple does not mean small. Simple means focused, and focused businesses can absolutely win. If you want to get started with any of the products or tools that we mentioned today, you'll find links for them down in the description below. These are affiliate links, which means we do earn a small commission when you use them at no extra cost to you. And these commissions really help support the channel and allow us to continue to create free content just like this. So if you end up using them, we thank you so much in advance. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another video. Here on Side Hustle Mastery, we explore a wide range of side hustle ideas, strategies, and tips to help you make an extra income. But other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.